Hello? Oh, now it's on. Hello, everyone. My name is Maria Khalusova. I work at JetBrains. I am a product marketing manager for AppCode, our Objective-C IDE. Anyone heard about it? Okay, then I have these little papers here, which they said I could give away. It's a free drink, I think. I will give one right now to the person who will tell me what's the Twitter name of AppCode. So I saw there are people who know AppCode. Anyone knows the Twitter name? Okay. No. Anyone knows how it was called before AppCode, the first versions and previews? Okay. Well, later I will give then these two papers to those who will have the most interesting questions. So today we're actually going to talk about all kinds of tools that are available for iOS developer. And I divided the tools into three categories: language, all kinds of frameworks, diagnostics tools, and also IDEs. So, well, all of you know that Objective-C is not the only language that you can use to develop your iOS applications. There is Ruby with RubyMotion, there is C#, and there is such tool as Xamarin. There is all kinds of web technologies and frameworks so you can create web applications. But we're not going to focus on the differences between the languages, pros and cons. It just felt wrong not to mention these things, because language, it is, in a more broad sense, also a tool for iOS developer, for any developer. We will talk a little about some testing frameworks, diagnostics tools, and so on, and of course about IDEs. So the tools from the second category I divided into several smaller categories. That's what we like to do in Germany, to organize things into categories. So here we're going to talk about some testing frameworks. We're going to talk about tools for documentation. We're going to talk about dependency management, diagnostics, and some other tools. So testing frameworks. The first one, you probably can guess, it's Kiwi. How many of you know about Kiwi? Oh, I expected a lot more hands here, so it's good. So you'll learn something new today. It's an BDD testing framework, which is BDD, everyone knows, right? Behavior-driven development. And it allows you to write tests in RSpec style, which are more readable and easier to write. And another nice thing about Kiwi is that it comes with a mocking and stubbing library for iOS, so you don't need OC mock. You can just use Kiwi and do it there. You can see on the screenshot just an example of a spec written in Kiwi. Looks readable comparing to OC unit tests. Then there are also Specta and Cedar. These are also BDD testing frameworks, also allow you to write tests in RSpec style. They have slightly different syntax, and that's a matter of preference and a matter of taste which one to use, although Kiwi seems to be more popular and better supported. One other thing about Cedar is that it relies only on Foundation and on C++ 11 features, so you can actually use it not only for iOS and OS 6, but basically in any environment which has those two. There's a bunch of ways to perform end-to-end acceptance testing. There is KEEF, which stands for Keep It Functional. It imitates user input by using accessibility attributes such as UI accessibility protocol. Then there is Calabash iOS, and there is Frank, another two iOS testing frameworks. They're written in Ruby, and they allow you to use Cucumber if you like that testing frameworks. And there is Zucchini. Zucchini is another visual iOS testing framework. It uses screenshots to verify that your application is doing what it's expected to do. So just different approaches to functional testing. Documentation. The first one here is Dash. It's a documentation browser and code snippets manager. It allows you to download loads of different API documentation sets and quickly search through them, have them offline, and it's a very neat tool. Unfortunately, it's not free, but there's a free version of it, which just gives you a little delay between you enter the search string and before it gives you the result. That's the only thing. If you like how Apple documentation looks, what it looks like, and you want the same style for your own documentation, for your own libraries, you can use Apple Doc. So that's an example of what it can do. Well, it looks pretty much identical to Apple documentation. Then there's also Doxygen to generate documentation, which is kind of a veteran out there. So those of you who deal with C++ as well, they know this tool. It's a kind of a standard out there. But it also supports Objective-C, so you can use it in your Objective-C projects as well. Dependency management. Well, I'm pretty sure you all know the tool I'm going to show here, right? Who can say? Well, everyone, I guess. It's CocoaPods. Everyone knows it, and they say on their website that it's the best way to manage library dependencies in Objective-C projects. And that's actually true, because I don't know any other tool in Objective-C area to manage. Yeah, there is no alternative, and it's quite good. It has pretty simple syntax and does what it's supposed to, and yeah, there's just this one. Diagnostics. Here, the first one, CocoaLumberjack, it's, how to put it, NSLog, but on steroids. It allows you to send one log statement to several loggers, for example, to save it in a file and at the same time print it in console. It allows you to create your own loggers, to send it to a database, to somewhere over network, I don't know, anywhere you want, so there is no limit. And it has also flexible logging configuration, which is sometimes useful when debugging. Next, DC Introspect. This is a set of little tools which you link into your application when debugging on simulator. And it's especially useful to debug layouts that are created or changed dynamically in runtime, so you can actually see what's going on, actual sizes of your layouts and so on. Pony Debugger. Little tool that uses Chrome developer tools to monitor network traffic that's going out of your device. And it also has a rudimentary core data browser, but it's mostly for traffic, for network traffic monitoring. Then SimPholders. This is also another really tiny little tool which which gives you quick access to simulator folders. Can be useful. Reveal. Yeah, the video is working, and good. It's actually, I need the video here to show what it does, because it's kind of hard to describe with words. It shows you 3D view in runtime of your application. You can just view the hierarchy there and slice and dice your application to see what's going on where, what notifications are sent here and there, and so on. So, kind of cool to my taste. So, there are lots and lots of tools for design mockup. This list can go on, and it's not only pencil and paper. There are lots of free tools, paid tools, tools that, well, all kinds of them. Here's just a few of the most popular ones. There are tools for generating core data code. There are tools for browsing core data projects and so on. Lots of tools for deployment and crash reports analytics. Here are the most popular ones. There are some Xcode plugins as well. These were just separate tools by itself. Just to mention three of them, there is Color Sense. It shows you the color preview when you hover your mouse or the cursor over a UI color or NS color statement. It shows you the color picker and the color that's actually there. And it also gives you completion with color picker when you use NS color or UI color. Image named, that's pretty, another one related to image colors and so on. It gives you code completion for image names in your, from your bundle. CocoaPods Xcode plugin, well, that's pretty obvious. It gives you support for CocoaPods in Xcode. And there's a huge other thing. There is alternative IDE called AppCode. It's made by JetBrains, and at the time that we decided to create an Objective-C IDE, we had already a lot of experience in code editing, creating tools for software developers with great coding support, and also all those features that we could provide for Objective-C developers, like refactorings, navigation, code generation, and so on. And most of them were missing to that extent in Xcode. Some of them still are. And also, but we decided not to make it an Xcode plugin for two reasons. First of all, because we had already IntelliJ platform. That's the platform we base all our IDEs on, like RubyMine, PyCharm, and so on. And it has already a lot of features for version control integration, for configuring IDE settings, for integrating with issue trackers, and so on. So that's a huge platform that already can do a lot of things for you, with 10 years background in development. And another thing is that it's really, really, really hard to create Xcode plugins and support them. Did anyone try to create an Xcode plugin? No, don't, really. It's hard because there is no support whatsoever. There's no documentation, and when you find some, then it's outdated. With every release, they change everything just without warning, and you don't know what changed and where it changed. Those plugins I showed before, they're very tiny. They do just one specific thing, and to create a plugin that would be able to do refactorings, navigation, integrations with tools, that would be just impossible. So we decided not to. well, plus Xcode. At the time when we were thinking about creating Objective-C IDE, that's what Xcode looked like. It was Xcode 3.26. Gives you this feeling. So, okay, we created an IDE, and what's the difference? What's the difference between Xcode and AppCode? Given all the experience in working with code, .NET code, Java code, Ruby code, Python code, and so on, all kinds of code, knowing how to refactor it, how to navigate through it, how to assist you in coding. We know how to treat the code right. It's not just text. If you want to find for usages, you don't want text matches, you want actual usages. We know how to refactor things and so on. We think that it's important to support cool tools that appear out there. We don't just block everything out and live in our own little world, like, no, we're not gonna let anything. We support tools that are really outstanding, like Kiwi, like Dash, like CocoaPods, and many others. We integrate with version control systems, many of them, not just Git and Mercurial, but Spearforce, TFS, SVN, some Subversion, I think. There's more, I don't remember them all. And with issue trackers, and we provide local history, and it's not just, it's all you can think of a normal IDE with the support of the systems and tools and frameworks that you might need. And unlike Xcode, we support plugins. So if anyone wants to write a plugin for AppCode, you're welcome. You're more than welcome. We try to encourage people to do that because it's important for the community, for further IDE development. Okay, I was going to show a little demo to show some coding features. I don't know what to do with the microphone, so it will be... Can everyone see? I made the font a lot bigger, so the back row could see. Okay? Okay. I'm not going to show all the cool features that we have, just a few that Xcode doesn't have. Yeah, that would be... Thank you. So we have two types of code completion, basic code completion and smart type code completion. Basic is the same as Xcode can do, so I'm not going to show it. Smart type code completion allows you to do things like this. So I will delete this. Oh, moment. No, sorry. I will just activate the thingy. It will show shortcuts. So I won't have to tell them. Okay, so here's smart type completion, and gives me here exactly what I need. And again, ta-da. So that saves you a lot of time. I don't know. That was a complete statement shortcut. I'm not sure if Xcode has it or not. Never mind, it just inserted the semicolon in the end. So that's for completion. There are a lot of little helpers here, like inspections and intention actions. Those you see when there is a light bulb in the left gutter. They either fix possible bugs or help you improve your code. For example, if I say here, delegate. It highlights, I want to use something from there, but it's not imported yet. So Alt-Enter, and ta-da, it is imported. So automatic imports, which for some reason Xcode still can't do. If I don't have, for example, this thing, all the unused, duplicated, and so on imports will be highlighted, grayed out, and Alt-Enter, optimize imports. It's gone. Now, for example, here's for some inspection. I'm going to call do something weird. This is a bug. There is no such method. So it is underlined, and there is a quick fix, create new method. OK, create new method. Here we go. So now I can just start using any symbol before it's created, and then automatically it will be generated. And then this one is created, but it's not declared anywhere. Alt-Enter, and where do I want to declare it? In the interface, in private category? OK, in the interface. So what about some refactorings? I can, for example, change signature for this one. Control-T will give you the list of all available refactorings, a lot more of them. So change signature. Let's say key value change. And the signature is changed. And notice that the usage is also changed. Well, here there is a default value because something had to go there. Now, another intention action, say, here, it can help me automatically create missing switch cases. I don't have to type all of it. I just can hit Alt-Enter. And even if I started typing like first two, I can just auto-generate the rest. I can generate many things. I can generate standard code constructs like, I don't know, is equal and hash methods. Ta-da. I can use all kinds of templates. For example, surround templates. Alt-T, to surround some part of code with if or while, or for example, if response to selector. So, ta-da. What else? One of the most regularly used refactorings is rename, of course. So, and it's important that it works properly and renames everything in everywhere where it's needed. For example, here I have an IB action. I'm going to find usages first, Alt F7. You see it's there in zip file. And now I'm going to rename it. Do something else, for example. I don't know. Else. And you can see that it's renamed in the zip file as well. So it actually looks where it's used, how it's used, and where it has to be renamed. And that works for all their refactorings. Now, if I, for example, do the unthinkable and copy paste some code, if I want to refactor this thing, I want to rename it, gives me some suggestions. And here's some inspection. Something's wrong. Ta-da, and it's fixed. And there are many, many, many things like this. It's just the tip of the iceberg. You can, every time you're in doubt, just hit Alt-Enter, and there will be a suggestion for you what to do. Like I said, we also integrate with some tools like, for example, with Dash. So it will open the documentation for you in Dash. Or pod file with CocoaPods, with code completion. something, no. No. I'm not connected to the internet, and I'm not, sorry. Wait, maybe if I do this, for example. Oh, CocoaPods gem is not installed. Sorry, that's a different Mac. I forgot to install. I copied the project. I forgot to install CocoaPods here. Okay, so back to the presentation. Thank you. I hope some of these things you liked enough to give it a try. But still, there are a lot of code-related features. There are a lot of integrations and so on. But you still need Xcode. There's a trick. You still need Xcode to be installed to be able to use AppCode. But it's 100% Xcode compatible, so you can jump back and forth if you need to. And it uses the same project model, so if you need to do some work in Xcode, or if you work on the same project, I don't know, at home, in AppCode, at work, in Xcode or something, then you don't have to worry, they will be synchronized and on the same machine or whatever. It doesn't change anyhow the project structure. And we do integrate with Xcode, and with many parts of it to be true. So here's some info from behind the curtain from the how we do it. First of all, we integrate with Xcode build. We don't build your code, your projects with AppCode. We do it with, we'll add Xcode, build the binary, and then we launch it, then we give it to device, simulator, or we debug it. We don't mess with that logic. Then we integrate with the simulator and with the device. We can run them, run your application on them, test, debug, everything. We integrate with the debugger with both GDB and LLDB. As for GDB, we take the one from the main version of Xcode that you have. And LLDB, we bundle the latest version because it's not very stable, so we take the latest one. We integrate with instruments. We can launch them from AppCode. We use CLang analyzer to run analysis in background on your file and then show the analysis results from CLang analyzer right in the editor. As for project settings, we have a dialog in AppCode to edit build settings, but for build phases, metadata, and some other settings, you still need Xcode. And another thing is Xcode system utilities. The thing is that the crash reports from devices, they come not symbolicated. There is no, sorry, there is no method names, symbol names, nothing. There is just addresses in the programs, and we can take the debug symbols from the app and then run them through Xcode utilities, and then in our views show links to methods, symbols, and things like that. And of course, we have a load of difficulties. Like I said, Xcode, people who write Xcode plugins, they have a lot of troubles. We have two, and first of all, they are related to Xcode updates, because every time Xcode releases a version, minor version, major version, doesn't matter, they change behavior of some or many of their subsystems unpredictably, unreliably, and every time we have get the new version of Xcode, there's a bunch of red tests, and then for a couple of days, that's the only thing the team does. investigating what happened, and if needed, then releasing a bug fix or update, which would be compatible with the new version. And the worst troublemaker here is the simulator. It's not stable. Every time it takes a lot of work to make it run and then to make it work stable. That's the worst part so far of the Xcode. That's the one we have most troubles with. Then another difficulty is LLDB, because first of all, it's quite young, still developing, and sometimes it happens that some version, a code compiled with one compiler the debugger of another version doesn't understand it. So for example, code compiled in Xcode 5, if you give it to LLDB from Xcode 4.6, it won't show the contents of your objects because it doesn't understand what's going on. There are new debug symbols. And so another problem is with evaluating expressions. The debugger doesn't know anything about macros. It doesn't know anything what in current context the method will return. So we have to cast all the methods to the return value. We have to explain all the macros to it and so on. So there's a huge work around evaluate expression action to give the debugger something that it can actually understand and evaluate in the end. And the last one, it's Apple Bug Reporter, which is, well, everyone knows about it and everyone uses it. But the problem is that we don't have any privileges here, and the reactions sometimes bugs to Xcode guys, to all kinds of, about all kinds of their subsystems. Sometimes they're fixed, sometimes not. But there is no way we can make it faster or influence them in any way. And yeah, that's a problem at the moment. So what are we going to do with all this? We are going to eventually do all the project setting configurations in AppCode, hopefully in the newest releases. We also support not only Objective-C, but C++, C, JavaScript, HTML, CSS, and many other things. And at the moment, we are putting a lot of effort to improve C++ support as well. Maybe we will add a core data editor. That's actually up to you. If you vote more for it, then we'll take a better look at this. But at the moment, it has lower priority. And interface builder. We don't have interface builder. We just think that from our users' experience, Xcode's interface builder does the job good enough. And that's a lot of effort and work to create an interface builder, and we're not convinced yet that it's actually needed. So again, it's up to you. Vote for it. If there will be more votes, more people saying that they don't like what Xcode has and they need us to do interface builder, not only work with code integrations and things like that, but also dealing with interfaces, then create requests, vote for it, and we might do it. As for non-Xcode related development of the product, we plan to add more integrations with cool tools, not only CocoaPods, Kiwi, not only Google Test, for example. In the last version, we supported Google Test. That's a testing framework for C++. But we plan to support more bring the Xcode integration to its minimum, to its possible minimum, which is actually, it will always be there. There's no illusion that you won't ever need Xcode to publish in App Store, for example. Apple won't give this away to anyone. So there will be areas where you still will need Xcode, unfortunately. But yeah, we will try to bring it to its minimum. And of course, we will keep bringing more and more cool coding features, refactorings, not only for Objective-C, but also for C++, C, and other languages that we support. And that was it. So that was the Twitter name of AppCode, and that was originally planned name for the product, but unfortunately some similar companies make similar product that this has similar name, and there were legal issues with that. So, but it's a cool name. It would be Cedar. Thank you. Any questions?
So I have one, but it was connected with this, with the presentation, with the demo. When you create a new method, I mean that you write, do something, and you create a new one. So then you get the window where there is a name and the parameters name, and if you want to close, what shortcut you use to close this window?
It was Control-Enter. Yeah, well, the thing with our IDEs, with all of them, is that we tend to make products keyboard-centric, so you don't need to use mouse. There are shortcuts for almost every action, so that was Control-Enter. Okay. Yeah.
With AppCode, change it, close it, and then open it again with Xcode.
You can actually do it, you know, you can open your existing Xcode project in AppCode. You don't have to close it in Xcode. You can work in AppCode, switch between them. That's fine. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's true that interest builder is not demanded from users?
It's not so much. Sometimes there are people who ask, but for example, I don't know, that would be the same level that project settings and interface builder, but the project settings are a lot easier to do, so we gave them higher priority. And interface builder, I don't know, that not so many, and that's a massive work. So if not so many people ask for it, we are not sure if it has a point. So yeah, it's, like I said, it's up to you. The more people ask for it, the more chances there are that we will finally do it. U-Track, yeah. We have a public tracker, U-Track, utrack.jetbrains.net. You can post issues there. And actually, JetBrains is famous for its fast reaction and fixing bugs and replying and reacting to feedback very quickly. Anyone?
When it's Xcode 5, there is a new feature called asset library. And do you have support for that?
You mean assets catalog? Yep. Do I have it here? Supporting. We do actually, and it was in the latest latest version, which we released recently, with full Xcode support, Xcode 5 support, XC test, iOS 7, and so on. If you work with assets catalog in Xcode, you also have them in the in AppCode. They would be in the project view somewhere here if I had them. But you can work with them in AppCode as well.
You said a bit about the plans for the future features.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any plans for the user interface changes and the look and feel of the app?
You mean to make it more Mac-like? Well, we already, well, it's a continuous work. We did some changes for the version 2.0, I think. And we plan to slowly change the way it looks, but do not expect it to change overnight or with one release. Because it's the whole platform, and the UI, it's the same for all our IDEs. So it's gonna come gradually, yeah, but it's not gonna change drastically in one go.
Yeah, but what I understand is it's also in your list of future plans.
Some improvements. No, it wasn't on the list. On the list was Interface Builder. But as for our user interface, we changed some things from one release to another. But sometimes they're bigger, like Darkula theme, for example, this black theme. Sometimes they're not so obvious, some smaller details and so on. So there's a separate team that works on the UI for all the platforms. And we send them requests and requests to do this and that. If you have specific suggestions, sure, you can create issues, you can create feature requests. Yeah, that's always a good idea.
That's it, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.